Hi, Jane. Thank you so much for joining us on our podcast. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you for having me. This is really fun.
No, we're really excited to meet you. And obviously, after the initial confusion about our massive time difference, we've found
Yes.
semi-suitable-ish time to do it for you. So thanks for getting up so early.
Yeah, I
Well,
was just
thank you
going to
for
say that.
accommodating me. With COVID, I had to make sure my daughter was first settled e-learning and all that because she's not back in regular school. I'm outside of Chicago and we're still locked down here. So just had to get her going. We tried the honor system initially. It went okay, but I still have to look over what she's doing.
We're exactly the same here. I've got 3 at home, so I know exactly how it is. I've the age range. I've got a 4-year-old and then 2 older teens.
Wow.
And the 4-year-old, I've just been cutting out the 3 little pigs with him. And then the older ones are doing like GCSE, which is junior at your kind of end science. So it's a massive difference.
Oh my gosh.
And Lisa's in the same boat, 2 out at work and 1 at school. So we get it. We completely know how it is, don't we, Lisa?
We do.
Wow.
And we've been locked down since March as well, basically, here. I think we had 3 weeks in between that, didn't we? That's about it. So, we get it.
It's exhausting.
I know. Sometimes she asks me to help her with algebra. I don't remember. I feel I have to Google things and look on YouTube to be of any assistance. It's horrible.
Jane, we've just done the same. School was never for me. That's where Alex and I differ quite a lot, because Alex loved it so much she went on to be a teacher, and I couldn't wait to get out of there. And my youngest daughter is exactly the same. So what we've been doing is we have been creating her own business while she's been off school. So that's our homeschooling.
That's cool.
It's gone.
She'll have to do all her accounts and everything, Lisa. So there's the maths.
Yeah, she will. Yeah, that's what I mean. So we're getting there, around about. Right. But yeah, we're really excited to speak to you, Jane. Neither of us have actually read your books yet. So, but I did have a quick look at the bios that you sent through, and I can't wait. And I'm so interested to hear about your first book. It wasn't your first one, because of the title, which is I've blooming forgot it now. Sober and pissed off. Like, that has absolutely intrigued me. So tell us about that.
Okay, well, the first book was about getting physically sober. How, there's no known cure for alcoholism. The only proven treatment is spirituality. So I got sober in AA. So when I first went to AA, I was so confused. There was a lot of talk about God. I thought, well, I just want to quit drinking. I'm not looking for church. It was confusing, but it was explained you just have to be honest, open-minded, and willing. And once I was open to the God concept, I haven't had a drink in over 11 plus years. So when I thought I couldn't quit drinking, I was 100% correct. But when I believed that a power greater than alcohol and then eventually greater than myself could relieve me from that, he did. So Sober and Pissed Off was about emotional sobriety, because there are a lot of people, when I used to get angry, I used to drink. And so dealing with emotions without escapism, without wanting to, even acting out, because when you're I'm in AA, but if you're sober and you have friends or family that are considering, well, I've got a problem, maybe I should stop doing this or stop drinking, they look to people like us. And if they see us acting like a bunch of unhinged buffoons, it's not going to be attractive. And we want to be, we're a program of attraction rather than promotion. So if I'm going through something and I'm able to handle it, with some sort of discipline and composure, that really helps other people think, well, you know what, maybe there is something to this. There is something to this. For me, unabashedly, I'm all about God. I believe I did not get sober by my own works. I believe in a higher power that helped me get sober, and I also believe in a higher power that helps me with my emotions. It's funny, I go every year. We have in Akron in Ohio, we have a Drop the Rock retreat. And it's really for emotional sobriety. It's for steps 6, 7, and 8. And it's basically getting, how do we still deal with these character defects? And there are women there with a lot of time, 20, 30 years who, still struggle with everything from, jealousy to anger to, insecurity. Insecurity is one of the common denominators for alcoholic women. We have all dealt with insecurity, and a lot of times that's led us to drinking, and a lot of times it's something we still struggle with in sobriety. So it's funny how alcoholism is a twofold part, where it's a mental obsession. I want to drink, coupled with a physical allergy. Once I put it in my system, I can't stop. I don't know how the mental obsession left. I prayed for it. I don't know how God removed it, because I lived with it for over a decade. But if I was still thinking about drinking, I'd still be, I would have died in the disease, or I'd be drinking, Chardonnay in this coffee mug right now. I would not have been able to quit. But character defects with the sober and pissed off, those didn't go away. Those aren't something that just poof, went away. Those are something we have to constantly work at. And I, again, back to God, I believe those weren't removed just like that, because God wants to partnership with us. God wants us to need him like little children, and God wants us to work through our problems with him together. That's just my own humble opinion. Sorry for a long dissertation.
No, it's so interesting to speak to you, because honestly, it couldn't be further away from our approach, but we've reached the same kind of conclusion in that.
Right.
I guess that, you're still saying that the spiritual and the emotional development is needed once you get sober. Very, very much agree with that. We're exactly the same. We kind of got sober, and then the work starts. So
yes,
even though we didn't do the 12 step, and even though we don't necessarily believe in the higher power, the process and the steps are very, very similar. I'm actually really intrigued to hear about a little bit more about, because you went from, you say, not having that faith in the system, to completely having the faith in the system. How did that come about?
I had a sponsor who was a God freak, and basically I grew up, a lot of my problems with alcohol were I didn't feel good enough, and I was relying on external validation. Oh, gee, what does that person think of me? What if I have this? Will I be more popular if I look like this, or if I drive that? And everything was outside of me, and not realizing the spiritual malady is, if you're reaching outside of yourself to feel good about something, you're suffering from a spiritual malady that only God can fix. And he was a very flamboyant gay man who worked at the steel mills in Northwest Indiana and would wear nail polish. And they learned to just completely ignore and be indifferent to the steel workers' comments about his sexuality, or, he'd like to dress a little trans and things like that. And I thought, wow, I could learn a lot from somebody who could teach me to not care what other people think. Because growing up, sometimes that's how I would base my day. Oh, wow, well, people are nice to me today, I'm going to feel good. Oh, people aren't treating me so well today, I'm going to feel bad. And if you're relying on external circumstances to how you're feeling inside, you're screwed. And he explained to me, he feels this, he's able to ignore those external circumstances and feel good with an internal power that he can only tap into through his connection to a higher power. And that was so attractive to me, and I really, really wanted it. And he was happy. And when I went to AA, I just couldn't stop drinking. I was one of those they called Welcome Back Jane. I'd get drunk and then come back with another hospital bracelet, or have to go get an Ativan drip just to buy beer at Walmart hours later. I mean, it was just one of those things where a lot of people, wrote me off, she's never going to get it. That sort of thing. So I started dating. I would start dating guys with time, thinking that their sobriety would rub off on me. I started dating a guy who had 10 years sober, but he was also agnostic and atheist, but he was able to work the steps mechanically. He did not have the God concept, and he was able to work the steps mechanically, and he was able to stay sober. But I saw a big difference from people who relied more on the spirituality aspect as opposed to more of the dry people, and people that had more of the spiritual love inside of them. I found that more appealing. So that's the route that I took. And that's the route I was guided to. Once I started feeling that inside, I just wanted more. I just, you know, I 11 years later, I still want more God every day. A lot of people, you know, I used to be the drunk, and now I'm kind of the God freak, but I'd rather be the God freak than the drunk. So that's how it works for me.
And I think that's amazing, you know, I really genuinely do. And I think it's so weird actually to hear the kind of, you know, like you say, the God concept, the non-God concept, but actually the beliefs in terms of this, you know, needing to tap into your spiritual side and needing to heal are very much what we believe, aren't they, Lisa?
Yeah, I think people get frightened of the word God. I genuinely do. I think it's frightening to people. And, you know, when we talk about the higher power, I think that puts people off going to AA because they're like, oh, I'm not religious, I don't believe in a higher power. But that's not necessarily the case, is it? It doesn't have to be God for, you know, some people find it in other ways, or that's what I've heard anyway. Would you say that was
absolutely
right?
You see, a lot of people use the group, and God could be an acronym for group of drunks or good orderly direction. So for me, I was drinking myself to death. I mean, my kidneys were failing. I was just unemployable, borderline alcoholic dementia. I couldn't have gone on much longer. It was a life or death situation for me. So if they said you're either going to drink yourself to death or you're going to have to find a spiritual solution, I was as ready as only the dying could be. You know, that gift of desperation where I figured, you know, my daughter was under 2. As embarrassing as it is to admit, I was an unfit parent. She had to live with my dad. You know, a lot of women don't want to admit their child is better off in other hands, but I was there. I was that far gone. So if it was spirituality that was going to save me and make me be able to become a mom again and reunite with my daughter, give anything, just please let me have it.
I love that, Jen.
So how does it work for you without, I mean, I obviously I defined a power higher than alcohol, you know, to preclude me from drinking myself to death. But what do you ladies choose to call it? What if it's not God or higher power?
I suppose, well, for me, I think I work with the universe a little bit. I would say that. So I kind of, but I avoid the word God. And it's ridiculous, really, because of the stigma around it. And you know, which is daft, really, because I worked so hard at removing the stigma around alcoholism and sobriety. Yeah, I'm like, oh, don't say the God word really loud. Like, and it's ridiculous. But I do a lot of meditation, and so I find that for me, especially at the beginning, was an absolute lifesaver, because my life was absolutely upside down when I first stopped drinking. Not all actually because of my drinking, but because of the situation I was in, because of my husband, because of what was going on with my children. And for me, my saviour was stopping drinking and my one meditation class every week, and just coming out of myself and finding it that way. And I'm a big believer in like my spiritual side with crystals and you know all things like that, but mindset massively, and just focusing on all the amazing things that sobriety brings, which is why I love the title of your book, Sober and Pissed Off, because I've met so many people that have been sober for like 10 years and they're pissed off. They're still like, I want to drink. They feel like they're missing out. And for me, that absolutely fascinates me, because I've worked, and I think it's something that must have come quite naturally to me, to focus on the good things rather than what I was missing out on. And I know that that's not actually easy for lots of people to do, is it?
No, it's not. And meditation, I mean, that is a connection. A lot of people in AA, I mean, I'm not going to take a poll, but a lot of people don't meditate a lot of times. And a lot of people show up and And here I go, the judgment's coming out. But myself included, will show up with, my dog ate my homework program. I'd like to make a topic today, and I want the program to be about, this problem at home or that problem at home. And if you, when I meditate, I learned the subtraction method. It came out in New York in 1996. And basically it's just throwing away anything that doesn't serve you. So until it's just left with like, just you and something greater than you. And like, it can be the universe, like you said, or it can be love, or just something bigger than you that you can, it's palpable. Like you can feel it inside. And if you trust whatever that is, whatever else is going on isn't that important. So I feel that when people are all pissed or bent out of shape or mad that they can't drink anymore, they're not trusting the process. Because if you really believe that there's a power out there that cares for you, then you would trust it and you would worry less. That's just the way I see it. And I also think that at first step meetings when people are new, don't talk so much about God. It scares people away. They come in, they can't stop drinking, they're hungover, they're sweating, they feel like crap, they want to just, wish they could chug a beer, and everyone's talking about God. And then they run for the door, and 9 times out of 10, they won't come back. So, I like to say more will be revealed, just keep coming back. There is a solution, but throwing God down their throat, from the get-go, when they're all, oh boy, that doesn't go over so well. It didn't go over well with me. It takes time to come around to whatever it is.
I think that's what I was getting at a second ago when I said that even though the kind of belief systems are not the same, we both very much rely on the fact that we've got the positive mindset. We trust what we're going through. We know there are things. And I think unknowingly, without working the 12 steps, we've probably worked the 12 steps.
we do that.
Yeah,
and when we
absolutely.
talk to people, they have said about, like, it's very similar to the 12 steps in some of the things that we do. One thing that I would love to ask you about is, and because I don't know, and because you do go to AA, you can answer this, so I want to ask it right, but it's about being powerless to alcohol. So something, and maybe it's just a twist on words that we use, is that we kind of look at ourselves as being very powerful for not drinking.
Yes.
And so we struggle when somebody is saying, oh, it's me and I'm powerless, and I want to go, no, you're not, you're so powerful and you're strong, and also about the addictive side of it, because alcohol is addictive. I know, is it true that you focus more on it being the person than the substance, basically, is what I'm trying to get at.
I could not agree with you more. I am powerless over alcohol. That is the only time that word is used, even in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. The rest is how powerful I am with spirituality, with the love, the universe, whatever you want to call it. It's all about regaining power. I now have self-control. I now have dignity. I know how to have self-respect. I drank away my self-respect. I drank away my integrity. I was able to reclaim those things, and that makes me very powerful. Now, the way Bill W. describes powerlessness is, like I said, a mental obsession. I want to drink coupled with a physical allergy. So the physical allergy part, I'm scared to put alcohol in my system again. What if there's a chance that I could, be, every alcoholic has that, oh, what if I could drink again? And I've been to enough meetings that people have thought that, well, it's been 5 years, it's been 8 years, I think I can have a glass of wine. And then they're right back where they were, or even worse. So I love people that share their relapse stories, because it keeps me away. But I am not powerless over alcohol anymore. I can be around an open bar all day long. I can go to concerts with everyone around me drinking. The only time that I would be scared I'd be powerless again is if I put it in my system and I have a craving, a phenomenon, a reaction where my body just goes, holy cow, is this good? Give me more. Because I was never one that, you know, would have one or two. I'd finish everything. And I'd watch social drinkers. Well, last couple of years of my drinking, there was nothing social about it, not remotely, because no one else was around. I drank alone in my pajamas. So, but I would watch people with cocktails and they'd leave half a glass of wine or 3/4 of a beer. And I'm, what the heck is that? And I have to be honest that that's not the way I drank. But, you know, I believe that the powerfulness, you know, there are different promises that correlate with steps. And we read the 9th step promises a lot in meetings about like the good things that sobriety will bring you. But I far prefer the 10th step promises because I can go anywhere now, neither cocky nor afraid. I can be around people having a drink next to me. I go to concerts. I'm going to concerts for years, and I looked at it like a skull and crossbones, like, you know, that could work. But now I look at it as I don't want it. I knew what I'm happier without it, and I just don't want to risk it. And again, that mental obsession of wanting it is gone. And but if I put it in my system, to be honest with you ladies, if I had 2 glasses of Chardonnay, I'd be scared I'd finish the whole darn bottle and then go out and get another. So
yeah, that's where the powerless comes from. Sorry, is that where the powerless comes from then? So the powerless.
I believe, yeah. Well, you know, there are different theories. Like, I'm genetically predisposed. There's alcoholism in my family. You know, when I first quit drinking, my brother made a joke. He said, well, we're half German, half Irish. Why fight it? You know, it's just part of our genetic makeup. But I believe that's what alcohol did for me, the escapism, than what it did to me with destroying my life and taking away my relationships and leaving me very sick and extremely poor and extremely unhealthy. I cared more about what it did. So, you know, and alcohol destroys that part of the brain. It destroys the self-preservation, self-care. When I first got sober, I was like, I can't believe how horrible I was to myself. And, you know, it was explained to me, the alcohol made you incapable of caring for yourself. It's not that you didn't want to, it made you incapable. And so, yeah, I am, that's because there is the allergy component. If I started drinking again, I'd be scared all bets are off and that drunk would show up that nobody wanted to be around.
Yeah, the same, I think.
Yeah, I understand it in the way you say it, actually, and I agree with it.
I do.
If I had one drink, I wouldn't be able to have one drink. I would start again, and even if I didn't start that day, the week later, the month later, I'd be back where I was eventually. And so I think it's really strange. It's just the wording to me that makes our beliefs different.
Do you think though? Sorry,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say then, I would look at it like my ex-husband, he went through AA, and I think like my question really came from that and his perception of it, because that is what he used as an excuse to drink again. Well, I'm powerless over it. It's part of who I am, and you know, so it's really interesting. Really, that was just his perception because he wanted to drink again, which is.
But if you want an excuse, there could be any excuse.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to get sober and really wants help, I can't say anything wrong. But if someone really doesn't want it and just wants me to shut up and go to the bar, I can't say anything right. And the powerless, I hate it when I go to meetings and people say, I'm powerless over people, places, and things. No, you're not. If you have no reaction, honey, that's a reaction. You're not powerless over them. You can control. You have self-discipline today. I'm not going to let some jerk rent space in my head and think about them and how much they screwed me over and how much my life sucks. I have a choice today, not just a choice if I'm going to pick up a drink, but I have a choice to be happy on purpose. I don't wake up in the morning and go, oh, let's see what my circumstances are and if I'm going to enjoy today, you know? And then I find out my circumstances are, you know, the dog pooped on the stairs, my daughter hasn't gotten up to do her work, and, you know, there's a sink full of dishes, and no. I have to get my mindset right first. I do that through prayer and meditation. and then you're able to handle that stuff. And that stuff isn't big stuff. But if you're in the wrong mindset, everything's irritable. If you're in a healthy, positive mindset, it's like, I can handle this. You know, I've been through far worse. This is not that big of a deal. Yeah.
I can feel your like sober energy actually coming through, and it's really nice to speak to you on this level, because this is where we do meet, absolutely in the middle. We get this side of it, and we're really positive in our sobriety. Did you ever have doubts when you started your journey about getting sober and staying sober?
Yeah, I didn't think I thought I was constitutionally incapable. I drank after my first meeting. I went to meetings for over a year before I was able to even get 30 days. And once I got 30 days, there was a handle, as we call it, like a big bottle of Jim Beam. And I got my core and I said, go drink it real fast. Just go drink it. And I chugged it. And then I called my sponsor, and I said, I'm drinking. He said, I said, Beam and water. And I got some ice cubes. And by that time I lit a cigarette. He goes, can you pour it out? I said, no. It was like asking me to cut off my right arm. I could not pour it out. And that drink lasted another 6 weeks. It took me another 6 weeks to get another 30 days. And once I got I got 30 days twice. And after that, I went up 60, 90, and then got to start counting months instead of days. But I do know, because I did go back to drinking. I think that's, we talk a lot about the insanity of it, the insanity of the disease. And I think right now, after my life has improved so much, where I'm not a wet brain. I was worried I was wet brain, and they have a napkin, they're drooling out the side of their mouth. And I was that kind of drunk. A lot of women that drank like me are dead, or, I didn't want to die another alcoholic statistic. So yeah, it still is I'm not scared of alcohol. Like if someone orders it at the dinner table, I'm like, have at it. I'll even pay for it if you want another drink. I'm scared that if I have a cocktail, all bets are off. And I do know what it's like, because I did drink after having that period of sobriety, and the insanity of it would be going back to drinking again and just, throwing it all away. And it would
live one day at a time, Jane, now, or are you very much permanently sober?
I live one day at a time, but some days it's one moment at a time. Like I could have some bad moments, but AA also taught me I can start my day over. So I don't really have bad days anymore. I have bad moments, and I do tend to plan more in the future than I should. But I really think that living one day at a time for me means I didn't drink today. I did my best. I tried to be a good person. I tried not to hurt anyone. I tried to be helpful, kind, and considerate. That's one day at a time. But I have long-term goals, as a mother in business. So I do think further out than just one day at a time. Right, wrong, or indifferent. I have to be honest about that.
I think that's another misconception, actually, that's just come to me, that when people say one day at a time, that other people think that means that they are really struggling. So they've got to take it one day at a time, because every day they want a drink and they can't see. And it's not, is it? It's like,
no, and people treat me like that. Like I'm this, like they order a beer and they're like, are you okay with this? Like I'm this cartoon character that's drooling over it, and their beer is like this yummy steak. Like after all these years, they think that we are always white knuckling it, and that part's been removed. And go ahead. I'm indifferent to alcohol. If I put it in my system, I'm right back. But I'm indifferent to being around it. But other people, some of them, oh, this is so good. Oh, is this bothering you? No, it's not bothering me. Knock yourself out. But yeah, that is a misconception. That we're just holding on, not drinking for today. And if that was the case, I would have gotten drunk years ago, ladies. Really.
Yeah.
If it didn't get so much better, I would have gone back to it by now. I wouldn't have been. I'd rather, I didn't sober up to be miserable. And we got to be happy on purpose. It's not, I gotta make it a priority.
Yeah, you do, and it's really true what you said about not looking for happiness outside of yourself, because you have all the answers yourself to be happy. You have everything we need to be happy, and that's where we completely, you know, you're very powerful over your actions, over your decisions, over your choice to be happy. I love that attitude. Absolutely love it, and I know Lisa will, because
I just wrote the quote down. I'm going to quote you on that, Jane. We've got to be happy on purpose. It's typed, it's there.
You have to be. As if I roll, like I said, if I roll out of bed and let's see what's going to go on today, or let me turn on the news and see how I feel about that, I am doomed. Yeah. So it's something, you know, that we create ourselves. And, you know, I really do. There was one class that actually surpassed econ at Harvard, and it was a happiness class. And it was basically how gratitude correlates with happiness.
Yeah.
And it was this big, I went to college in Boston, so I didn't go to Harvard. I went to BU, but I'm very familiar with people that have studied this class. It's relatively recent, and they've talked to me about it. And it's true. So I start off with the littlest things. I thank God for opening my eyes. I thank God I can see.
Sounds like you, Lisa.
Hear. I thank God I can walk down the stairs without being in any pain at 49 and a half. I thank God my kid's healthy. And I mean, I'm grateful for everything. I'm grateful that I have a cup of coffee. I'm grateful. That kind of, if you're not grateful for what you have, if you're not grateful for where you are, you're never going to get to where you want to go. You know, when I first got sober, I moved into this little teeny apartment, and I cried tears of gratitude to have it, because my alcoholism left me effectively homeless. I was couch surfing for a while. I was an unfit parent. So just to have keys to my own place, you know, due to my sobriety, oh my gosh, I still get, you know, that was a big deal for me. So if you're not grateful for starting at the little stuff, if you're not happy where you are, you're not going to get to where you want to go. Really, you got to be just grateful for wherever you are. And that gratitude, people can tell. I've been also in sales, and people can tell when you have goodness on the inside. But God didn't get me sober or to keep me in my house, you know, so I could be happy and grateful all by myself. I have to give it away. I have to show people I care about them. I cannot be selfish and happy simultaneously. So, you know, I'll take the time if they need something, because people took the time for me. I didn't have a car. I didn't have money. I didn't have a place to stay. So I have to give back to those things, because I know what that's like. And the funny thing is, ladies that I've done that for, especially mothers who lost their kids, I see them get sober and turn around, and it's the ripple effect. And
it's payback. It's always paying it forward, Can I ask you a question about, and I'm sorry to go back to the AA, the God concept one.
Sure.
I'm asking this for actually one of our members, and the lady will know who she is. So in AA, what if you turn up and you do not believe in God, and you're not prepared to open your mind to that? Can you still do AA?
Yes. Like I said, I've seen people work the steps mechanically and stay sober, but I don't think the level or the quality of sobriety is the same. And here's why. I believe that there are two fundamental belief systems that I must have to live a really good life. And the first one is, I have to believe that there's a power, the universe, love, my beloved, whatever I want to call it, that genuinely cares about me. Because I showed up not caring about myself. So I have to believe there's something out there, whatever it is, looking over me, that genuinely cares for me. And then I have to believe that their will for me is good. And that takes it all off my shoulders, because the burden is putting a trust in something else that even if I screw up, you know, I could be redirected and still taken care of. So when the book of AA was written, they said that 75% of the people were sober, were getting sober. And now it's less than 10%. Mm-hmm. And people wonder why that is. And this is just my theory. And, you know, it's not a very popular theory, but if God is your higher power and that's the one you're turning to, I think you're going to have a better quality sobriety than if you're relying on a group of other human beings. Or some people say, oh, you know, my coffee cup keeps me sober. You know, I really believe that God concept in the level of sobriety is the difference between chicken shit and chicken salad. Just my opinion, for me.
But would you agree that maybe God isn't the typical man in the sky? It's just the high.
No. God could be nature. God could be love. God could be the universe that has my back.
Oh, Jane, can I just hold you right on that? Because
Sure.
while you were talking then about having, you know, just that trust, have
Yes.
you read The Universe Has Your Back by Gabby Bernstein?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that was one of my early sobriety books. And I remember in that, she asks you for just one day to rely on the universe and just assume that everything that happens on that one day is you're just in the right place and it's meant to be. And I remember listening to that on Audible. I was walking down the canal and the weight just lifted up off me. I was like, you know what, for this one day, I'm going to really believe the universe has my back and that whatever happens today is because it's meant to be. And to be able to do that, I remember that feeling for that one day. So to be able to do that day after day must be just like, I just feel that. I really feel it from you, and I'm going to do it again tomorrow.
Take it a step further. The universe took care of me yesterday. The universe is taking care of me right now. And guess what? Maybe the universe, no maybes here. The universe is going to have my back tomorrow too. That's just that's my belief system. And things are going to go wrong. You know, it's like playing cards. Let's say you play cards and you get this crappy hands of cards. And I say, oh, I want Alex's cards, or I want someone else's cards. I don't want my cards. That's not the way life is. So, you know, when I got sober, my circumstance, I was poor, I was sick, I was broken, you know, all of it. No integrity, no dignity. I didn't know what honesty was because I lied about my drinking for 10 years. So I'm looking at my crappy hand on my credit. Don't get my credit was in the gutter. So I'm looking at my crappy hands, and I learned to play the hell out of a crappy hand instead of wishing my circumstances were different or I had your circumstances or hers. I learned to deal with myself, partnership with the universe, playing the heck out of a really bad situation and winning.
I really think this is going to help so many people, specifically with what I've just asked you about, because I think there's a lot of fear around the 12 steps in AA, and I must be man in the sky and all that. And even for my own understanding, just knowing that I actually could easily simply work the 12 steps, because I do believe that I'm in this place at this time, in this moment, for a reason. Be named God, but that is a higher power.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you could call it divine order. Could be the universe. I believe that
that's a good one for you, Alex. Divine order. You need
divine order. You know, I mean, everything's it's a lesson. I mean, I have had some crappy. And if you look back on it, oh my God, even drunk, sober, I've had some really bad things happen. I've had, you know, but I've gotten through them. And if you look back at the past and go, well, shoot, I got through that. Well, I got through that. And the funny thing about it is when you go through stuff sober and it's awful. And then you get out of it and you look back and go, wow, it never occurred to me to drink during that time frame. Something's working. Because when the crap hits the fan and I don't go out and buy a bottle, you know, something's happening there. Yeah. And then you look back and go, you know, things are going to happen again. Something's going to happen again. Maybe my car breaks down. Maybe something health-wise. Maybe, you know, this hasn't been the best year for me financially. You know, just stuff. It will all work out eventually. And you don't grow when things are good. You just don't. You grow when things are crappy, when nothing's going your way. Oh my gosh, my checking account's debit. I have a health issue. I don't know if I have health insurance at this time. That's when your character develops. That's when you find out who you really are is when your chips are down.
Yeah.
Because everyone can, when things are great, everyone can be great. My dad's a trader. I come from a trading family. So, if your trades are going well, or if you're a gambler and your bets are going well, hey, it's real easy to enjoy those winners. But how do you handle a loser? That's where it's really at.
Yeah.
Would you say,
that's the way it is with life.
Would you say that this came quite naturally to you? Are you naturally good at gratitude?
No. I learned that I was extremely negative. My first meeting at AA, I thought they're all full of crap and they're drinking in their car like I am, or they're not a real drunk. Because anyone that's a real drunk would be drinking right now. No, the God thing, oh my gosh, they're saying, we're going to love you till you can love yourself. I think, keep your pants on, Romeo, and don't hug me. No, it did not come natural at all. But I was dying. And I saw people living lives that were rewarding free of alcohol. So I was like, there's something to this. So maybe, just maybe, I could live a life free of alcohol. So, and that was hope. And without hope, you got nothing without hope. So just that mustard seed of hope of, maybe I can have a life that, I'm not drunk all the time. That's what started. It's just the hope. And then when I realized I got the hope and then the faith, and that's when things started coming. I was just desperate. I was just done feeling like crap. I felt like I had to reach up to touch whale crap. I felt so bad about myself. So just seeing these concepts work for other people. And then, it's like, I sit in a lot of meetings with electricians, and they still will say, I don't know how electricity works. I can tell you that if I go flip that light switch on, your light's going to come on. And then they do that. Now they'll also say, now you go flip that light switch and you see light. And then when you flip that light switch and you feel that light inside you all on your own, that's where the rubber hits the road. When you start doing the stuff that they suggest and you start to feel good about yourself, I didn't feel good about myself for years. It was, being an alcoholic, I wanted more. And this time it was something good. I wanted more good for once instead of destructing myself. Yeah.
I'm a Janeaholic. I want more.
I want more.
I'm so conscious of time, but honestly,
I'm conscious of time as well, and it's like I'm so absorbed in this conversation now. I'm like, I don't feel like we've heard enough, and I don't want to make it.
I'm free. It's anytime you want me back, just let me know. This has been a real pleasure.
We need to carry on, but I don't want to just end yet, if you don't mind. I really want to tell people about your books and where they can find you and things like that.
Okay. My first book is called Love and Compassion is My Religion. It's a beginner's book into spirituality. It was how someone like me, who was so self-absorbed, had no concept of God, and then learned about spirituality and was able to, reclaim my integrity and dignity, and not only feel good about myself, but, when you wanting to be kind to other people. And that's the crazy thing in this selfish world with all these selfies and self-centeredness. Now, if I don't like me, how the heck am I going to care about you? How am I going to be nice to you? So that was the natural, progression. Once I started to feel good about myself, I was able to be nice to my fellow man. And then when you look at what's wrong with the world today, a lot of times people are just cruddy to each other because they don't like themselves. So, you get all done out of shape because so-and-so doesn't like you. Well, so-and-so's struggling to like themselves. So don't take that personally. So that was that. And then the sober and pissed off was, the emotional sobriety, just finding out, what to do when you're either struggling physically or mentally or with depression, or just, there are a lot of people in AA who aren't feeling good. And if God in AA could love me back to life from my drunkenness, maybe I could use everything they gave me to love me back to life out of a funk, out of a dry funk. Because you look around and you think, oh, well, you know, so-and-so's dry, so-and-so's not, is, you know, I hate to say it, but a lot of people, you know, we judge each other unfairly. And I became, and you know what, I became the person that I judged. Oh, well, that person's dry and miserable. Well, guess what? I became dry and miserable. So now I have more compassion for those people because it happened, you know. I believe we go through stuff to have compassion, because I can't tell you, I can't have much compassion for a situation I haven't been in. But if I've been in a situation where I've just been in intense emotional pain and in that pain funnel, and someone tells me they're in pain, if some pain is pain, I'm right there with you. I can relate. But if you haven't experienced that, it's really hard to help others. So I look through all the pain I've been through as, you know, just a tool these days to help other people, because it helped me. Other people took the time to help me.
Honestly, I can't even tell you how grateful I am for this conversation, and I know Lisa's the same. I know in Lisa's head now, right, I can see her ticking, thinking I'm going to listen to that book.
Definitely.
Oh, good.
I really am. I just think, honestly, I have loved this podcast. I've really enjoyed speaking to you, and you are just everything that I love about a person. Honestly, you really are, and you're really inspiring, and we've not even heard half of it. I know we haven't, or how you actually really got to that stage, but I can tell how inspiring you are, and I just think you're doing the world a massive favour by sharing your story and your knowledge and your positivity, and you're just so inspirational. Thank you.
No, likewise. I thank you, ladies. It's been just such a pleasure, and thank you for all you do. You're helping a lot of people, and this has been a real pleasure to speak with you, ladies, and truly thank you for everything you do. It's really cool.
We're definitely speaking again, Jane.
We do
Thank
want
you
you back
so
on,
much.
yeah. And we'll put all your links on the description so that people can find you and buy your books and everything else. So we'll make sure we go over. Jane, would you hang on for a second at the end, just after we finish recording? Just
please.
Sort that out. But we'll say bye-bye to everybody listening on the podcast. We hope you've all enjoyed it, and thank you again, Jane, for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.